Okay, so I wanted to try something new and do a video of me talking outside. I might regret this because it's hot as and I know I'm gonna get a tan line right here. But anyway, I wanted to talk about basically my experience as an artist in art school. And so let's start from the beginning. I joined an art class in my 11th grade year of high school, and I was originally in a veterinary class taking care of animals, but there were too many people in that class, so I was like, maybe I'll switch out and try art. And I did. Um, at first, I kind of like got by in the class, but then I joined art club and I made friends and I got to know the teacher a little bit, and I like put more effort into what I was doing. And my teacher saw how good I was. And so the next year, she bumped me up to the AP level class, so which was like the college level, where I would begin working on a portfolio to be graded. And so I think the highest level you could get was a 5, and I got a 5 because I was like so dedicated. Like my other teachers liked me so much that I barely even went to class. Like I would skip so many of my classes with my teacher's permission. Like they would just, I don't know, I didn't do any work. All I did was paint most of my senior year of high school. And it paid off, I would say. My portfolio specifically was about my queer experience. So the way I framed like my guiding question, I asked, how do queer people of color navigate social conformity? And I feel like I've kind of taken that same inquiry and continued to explore that as I've grown as an artist as well. Before I joined before I started doing art, I had never like imagined myself actually going to college for anything. Well, like I did, but I had never like made any plans or like actually thought about what my life would be like after high school. And so my teacher, Miss Reagan, encouraged me to apply. And so I did. And I got accepted into 3 art schools, but I ended up going to the college I went to for the simple fact that they provided me more scholarships and more financial aid. And also, it's also in the state that I live in, which is Florida. So I guess it was just easier for me. I am not a fine arts major, even though what I do mostly is fine arts. The major I'm in is basically you get to choose your own path, and you can take you can like have the path of multiple minors instead of just one minor or one major. And I did that because like I said, like I hadn't like planned on what I wanted to do. So I wanted flexibility. My first semester of my freshman year in college, I was my original major. I was the flexible major. But then I saw the benefits of being in fine arts. I think there were 2 things that really made me like want to switch. Number one, I had a bunch of friends in the fine arts major, and I had most of my classes with them, but I kind of felt excluded because like I wasn't actually a fine arts major. Also, that year, during that time, they had went on like a field trip to Miami Art Basel, which I didn't get invited to because I don't know if it was for a class specifically or if it was for like the whole major, but I wasn't invited, and that kind of upset me. And it made me think like, okay, like what else am I missing out on? So the next semester, I switched to fine arts. And then I would say I kind of regretted switching to fine arts because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed one of the classes. I enjoyed taking time-based media, which was a fine arts class. But then I had another figure drawing class, and then I had a class called painting in color in that same semester. And I hated those classes. They were super degrading. And I didn't like them because I felt like what the teachers wanted was something perfect. They wanted a perfect drawing and they wanted a perfect painting with perfect color. And that's just not something that I wanted to do. Like, the type of work I make, I wouldn't say that it's realistic. Or the type of paintings that I do, I wouldn't call them realistic. Even though I feel like I could. I feel like my work is more about the message. Um, and also, it's just like kind of hard to draw or paint when you have someone over your shoulder telling you how to do it, you know? Um, so I decided to switch back to my original major, which is called, I'm just gonna say it, it's called visual studies. And although I like visual studies, I have my issues with it. I think the school I go to can be a little bit like better at like handling the major. There are certain things like I can't get a studio space because the studio spaces are only reserved for fine arts fine arts majors and visual studies seniors, and I'm only a sophomore, so like I can't get one. Sometimes I can like a established artist will like visit and they can give a talk which is like accessible to everyone. But the benefits of being in the fine arts major is that like the fine arts majors have a studio space and the artist will like go inside the studio space and like talk to each person and like give them feedback and critiques. And I absolutely miss out on that because I'm not a fine arts major and I don't even have a studio. Um, but the benefits I would say of being a visual studies major is that I get to pick my own classes and I don't have to pick the classes where I feel confined because like I also am sort of into like graphic design and motion design as well. And I get to explore those classes a little bit more than I would be able to if I was a fine arts major. But I guess you can't win everything, right? One thing I've learned going to art school and just being an artist is that being an artist and to be successful as an artist, you need support from other people. You need an audience. You need someone to view your work and you need people to buy it and like support it financially, which kind of creates a dilemma for me because then I have to choose, do I want to be authentic and make the artwork that I want to make, or do I want to make artwork that's digestible for people? And for example, I make art about my queerness and being Black and being a person of color, which are two controversial things. But if I were, for example, to paint flowers, that is something that is digestible for people because flowers are something that's more universal and not controversial at all. Um, I did make an art piece this year that was controversial, and it's called Complicity. Complicity is something experimental. It's an installation using Touch Designer, and it's basically mimicking a surveillance system. And it's like you stand in front of the screen, and surrounding the camera footage is a bunch of like news clips of current political events going on around the world. And I submitted this to a school competition, which is aimed to like show the best work that the students have been doing at my school. And I was so hopeful that I was gonna get it. And mind you, I had been like keeping this competition in like the back of my mind throughout the whole entire like school year. So I have been making work where I'm like, okay, this is good enough to submit, in the back of my mind. And also, like, for the submitting process, like, you submit it through a Google Drive. So you can see what other people submit. And I was going through the submissions and I was like, yeah, I freaking got this. But I also saw some people that I was like, oh my gosh, this right here is my competition. I didn't end up winning. I got an honorable mention, and I was featured on like the website of like the winners, but I didn't win. I didn't get first, second, or third place. Honorable mention for me wasn't really a win. I mean, I guess I was disappointed because I set a goal for myself, which was to get like a placement, first, second, or third, at least. And I was hopeful that I would get it, and I didn't. So I felt like I failed, even though I kind of won, but I didn't reach my goal. And also, I felt defeated more when I actually set up the installation, because I needed to get footage for documentation. So I set up the installation twice on 2 separate occasions, and both times nobody showed up. And so it was a very discouraging experience. And like I said, to become a successful artist, or to be a successful artist, you need support from other people. I felt like I wasn't getting the support that I needed or wanted. And it was very, very, very discouraging. One of the things I've noticed is that most of the support I get is from people online. Unfortunately, like, I don't have that many friends. I don't have like a broad group of friends. So there's that. My family, I don't talk to most of them, but like my immediate family, they don't really indulge with my art either. And so most of my audience comes from my classmates when I present the art that I make for class, or the people who interact with my art online, on Instagram, or on Twitter, or on TikTok, or YouTube, or whatever. And don't get me wrong, like, I'll take what I can get, and I'm absolutely appreciative of the people that support me online. It's just that I wish that I had a bigger support group of people in person. I don't want to end this. I guess like my goal for this video was to kind of just share my experience a little bit. And I feel like everything I've said has been negative. So first of all, I want to talk about some of the positive things that I've learned and that I've gained from going to an art school. Number one, it's given me opportunities to explore and expand mediums. So when I came into art school, I only knew how to paint. which I was never formally taught how to paint. I kind of just did it. But I eventually expanded my skills to doing video art and photography, and also expanding my skills in graphic design as well. So there's that. I've also met a lot of really cool people. I've had some great opportunities to network, and I've had experiences that I wouldn't have gotten anywhere else. My freshman year, I was able to like collaboratively work with a real artist, and I was able to do a performance twice, once at a museum in Sarasota, and the second time in Miami Art Basel. That was an amazing, it was an amazing experience, and I don't feel like if I would have went to a different college, like a public college or university, that I would have gotten that experience. I don't think so. Also, the teachers are really cool. I love my teachers. Most of them. I like my studio teachers. And some of my non-studio teachers, I like them as well. It's just that I feel like I get to connect with my studio teachers better or more. I get like a better opportunity to connect with them. But I definitely do feel like art school may not be for everyone. Just gonna be honest. Sometimes I do something in school, and I'm like, I didn't really need to go to college to learn this. I could have learned this on my own. But that's okay. I feel like I'm getting a good education, and I'm getting skills that I'll be able to take other places. I also got to be able to work on an exhibition where I was able to include my own like process or my own inquiry about queer people of color, and that was great. I got to meet from that experience. I also got to meet a publisher and a writer that I really enjoy, and that I have now a personal connection with. So though there are bads, there are also good, and so I can't completely complain about everything. And I just want you guys to know that. I'm just completely talking about my honest experience. And so the thing that I want to leave off with is a little piece of advice, is to have goals and to set goals for yourself and work towards them. A couple goals I had was, one, getting 2,000 followers on Instagram, which that was my like New Year's resolution for 2024, which I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm working towards it. And I'm at 1.9 followers now, which I've been growing followers ever since I started doing my queer profiles, which also gains me followers on my YouTube as well, and my Instagram and Twitter and my other social media platforms. So I feel accomplished with that, even though I haven't reached my goal completely yet. But even once I reach 2,000 followers, I'm gonna shoot for more. You get what I'm saying? I also had a goal this year, or this semester specifically, was to get the opportunity to write in a magazine, which I got. I worked towards that goal and I got it. Writing profiles about some of the people I've done queer profiles for. And I'm so thankful for that. Be on the lookout for the small magazine, Skirt So Flow. It's a queer-led magazine. It's a smaller magazine. Support queer art. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. That's all I want to say. Thank you guys for making it this far, if you have. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving me the space to be honest. Follow me on Instagram at VURPU and subscribe for more. I'll be back with more content, more queer profiles coming soon. Thank you.